Yeah,
Warm your butt cheeks up. Warm up your butt cheeks.
Cut there.
Welcome back, Screen Ranters. Marvel films are a pretty big deal, yet the behind-the-scenes filming secrets of the superhero films are often ignored by the masses. Well, no longer. Today, we're going to let you in on some of Disney's Marvel movie mysteries. We're going to showcase some of the secrets and tricks that contribute to the epic MCU films we see on screen. So, lift up Mjolnir and let's get started. We don't know if you know this, but Marvel tends to showcase superpowers in their films. To film this, the actors will often use stunt wires. This way, a character can appear to effortlessly lift another into the air. In reality, the stunt coordinators will be pulling on the wires to hoist the actor above the ground. The other reason for using stunt wires is probably the most obvious: safety. Keeping the actor safe from injury is paramount. They can perform insane stunts and fighting abilities safely within the stunt wire harness. Once the scene is filmed, the wires are removed in post-production. In one behind-the-scenes video on Robert Downey Jr.'s Instagram, we can see a battle involving Chris Evans, Josh Brolin, and Downey. To showcase Thanos' mad lifting ability, Captain America is lifted into the air using wires. Once Cap passes out, Thanos throws him to the side. All of it is measured to show the Mad Titan's power, but also keep Evans nice and safe. As Marvel has a lot of characters from a variety of different species, the magic of CGI is very necessary.
Honestly, until this exact second, I thought you were Build-A-Bear.
Maybe I am.
After all, there aren't many massive green giants wandering about looking to get into the film industry. Yet, when on set with these characters, it looks vastly different than what we see on screen. Take Josh Brolin. He's decked out in a motion capture suit so the animators can capture every movement and expression Brolin makes. But as Thanos is much taller than Brolin, they created a unique way for the other actors to know where his head is and where to look. The filmmakers added a photo of the Mad Titan above Brolin's head. While it looks a tad bizarre, it really helps. A lot of the time, motion capture actors will use a tennis ball above them instead of a picture, such as this photo of Mark Ruffalo during Thor Ragnarok. But it doesn't exactly give the other actors much to work with when filming. It's hard to emote with an inanimate object. For the 2012 Avengers film, they even created prosthetic limbs of the Hulk to help stage the fight scene between him and Thor. With prosthetics like that, maybe they didn't need to do any CGI. If the MCU is known for anything, it's for the destruction of property during battles. There's always going to be multiple big explosions in a Marvel film. While it's easy to think that these are all CGI generated too, often they aren't. Instead, they use practical effects, meaning they actually blow stuff up and record it. This is done to add more realism to a shot. More often than not, it's easy to see when a big ball of fire has been generated via computers. The stunt coordinators will create a plan to cause the biggest explosion in the safest way possible. If a character needs to be in the middle of it, well, there's two ways to make that possible. Firstly, they shot the scene without the fire and with the character. Then they shot the same scene with the fire and without the character. In post, they essentially layer the two takes on top of each other, giving the appearance that the actor was in the middle of the fire. But this can also come over as unnatural, as well as being time-consuming and expensive. So the second way is to use a stunt person to fill in for the actor. They get the joy of being near fire and when things are going boom. Speaking of stunt people, nice segue, good for us. That brings us into our next entry. Many of the MCU actors love to get their hands athletically dirty in their role. They want to take part in every stunt scene. Chris Evans and Tom Holland are well known for jumping at every chance to do their own stunts. However, sometimes they aren't allowed to do them, especially when the stunt has some risks to it. It's better to let the trained professionals take over instead. A stunt double is also required if certain fighting choreography is above the talents of the actor. It means that pretty much every MCU actor has a stunt double. For example, Heidi Moneymaker has been Scarlett Johansson's stunt double since her MCU debut in 2010's Iron Man 2, and Bobby Holland Hanton has been Chris Hemsworth since Thor: The Dark World. Since Asgard, Wakanda, and various alien worlds don't actually exist in real life yet, the MCU needs to get crafty, so they rely on green, sometimes blue screens. The actors will perform various scenes while a massive screen is in the background. That way, it's easier for the scenery to be added during post-production. While it's usually used for exotic locations, it can also be due to logistics in real-world places. Let's say Marvel were filming a scene on Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol, England. The bridge can't exactly be closed for a long time for Marvel to film. It would also cost a lot of money for Disney to ship equipment, crew, and cast all the way from the US to Bristol, so they shot the scene with a green screen in the US. They may send a small team to the location to film location footage to add in post. It's far cheaper than sending everyone. When it comes to Rocket and Groot, the actors Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel weren't needed on set for motion capture.
I'm Groot. Yeah, you said that.
The characters are so removed from human-based that getting the actors' exact facial expressions was unnecessary. Instead, the two would read the lines in a recording booth. On set, there were a number of stand-ins for the characters during 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. After all, the other actors needed someone to work with during those scenes. Christian Godlewski was the on-set Groot. He wore a Groot headdress so the actors knew where the head would be. For Rocket, Artie Shaw and director James Gunn's brother Sean Gunn both stood in. Sean would crawl around on set and mimic the exact height of Rocket while in a green suit with only his face exposed. Bradley Cooper would watch the footage of Sean as a reference as he recorded his lines. Vin Diesel was even given a special script that translated Groot's lines into English. Then, Diesel would know what Groot meant during his repeated lines.
I'm Groot.
It's normal for cast and crew to take part in reshoots in the film industry. However, with Marvel workers, they can experience last-minute changes on set more often than not. With a colossal universe, new character additions can pop in at any time, especially when some of the film rights to their characters belong to other production companies. Deals can happen at any moment behind the scenes. As such, the cast and crew need to be on their toes. Take Captain America: Civil War.
Big fan of Spider-Man.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Hey, everyone.
Once Spider-Man was added in as a last-minute change, it also caused other factors to change with it. Ant-Man was originally scheduled to be on Team Stark. With Sony agreeing to loan out Parker, he would be on Team Stark, so Scott Lang was moved to Team Cap. For Endgame, they shot the famous "I am Iron Man" line only 2 months before the film was released.
Iron Man.
As the line was a great nod to the birth of the MCU. You may not have noticed, but Disney's Marvel films tend to involve fighting. Every single film will involve fist and weapon clashes many times. With that, it's important for the actors to know the basics of fighting and to understand the choreography of the battle. Their stunt doubles can't do all the fighting, otherwise we'd never see the characters' faces in a fight, and everything would be shot from a distance, which doesn't get the audience invested in the battling. Plus, it makes the brawls appear a lot more natural with the actor involved. Often, the actors will require additional training to improve their skills. For example, Robert Downey Jr. is a keen practitioner of Wing Chun, while Kobe Smulders learned her Maria Hill skills from a Black Ops trainer. For those actors playing humanoid aliens, they only need some makeup rather than a whole CGI creation for their characters. While the animators are happy with that, the makeup people and actors involved, not so much. They have to get to set much earlier than other performers in order to have their makeup ready by the time shooting begins. They also have to stay longer to have it all removed carefully without damaging the prosthetics, as they'll be needed the next day for the process to begin all over again. For Karen Gillan to become Nebula, it takes 4.5 hours, with another 30 minutes to remove at the end of the day. Gillan even shaved her head to begin with to make the process quicker. Later on, she was able to keep her red locks due to her new contract. For Zoe Saldana, it takes 5 hours to become Gamora. The process involves a lot more subtlety when it comes to prosthetics used for Gamora, yet for Dave Bautista, he has to stand while locked into a certain position for 5 hours to become Drax.
I've mastered the ability of standing so incredibly still.
In this day and age, the internet is pretty accessible at most places. With that in mind, it's understandable that the House of Mouse juggernaut would want to protect their Marvel baby from leaks about upcoming films, especially as they have Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo around. So, Disney instigated a number of rules for the cast and crew to follow. Firstly, actors that are prone to letting secrets slip can't be interviewed alone. Often, another Marvel actor will be there for damage control. In the build-up to Infinity War and Endgame, a lot of the cast were kept in the dark about the saga's story. Many of the thespians were only given scripts involving their characters. Sometimes, many of the lines were redacted on top of that. The actors would only be informed of the story on the day of the scenes being filmed. For Infinity War, the cast were shoved into a sketchy van and told the film's dramatic ending. They were then immediately driven to the set to film it. If Disney agrees that an actor can read the whole script, they have to do it in a guarded room. They can't take the script home with them, so they're searched beforehand so they don't record the script. Disney is very protective. And that's a wrap. Which of the secrets is the craziest? Pop your comments below. If you're feeling the Screen Rant love, like and share the video. Also, subscribe to keep up to date with all of our marvelous content. We appreciate it. Finally, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.